autism schedule changes hard to handle? Is your anxiety gotten the best of you? Well, we got your answers and some tips in this episode of My Spectrum Life.
Hello and welcome to this episode of My Spectrum Life podcast. My name is Jessica and I'm an autism mom. And with me is my co-host and good friend, Kelsey.
Hi, I'm Kelsey and I'm a rest behavior technician. Tonight, to start out, we're going to answer to this question, are autism schedule changes hard to handle? And the answer to that question is yes.
Big, huge. Yes. All caps. 3 exclamation points.
It is. And especially when we just went through Labor Day weekend this weekend, in the U.S., which gives us a time off from school and or an extra paid day if you work overtime. And that's a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
Especially when we just started school and just got in the routine of school. And hey, we're going to take a break.
Yeah. Kids might be happy because it usually means, we're going to chill out, maybe watch some movies and stuff like that. I know my kids were excited, but it also kind of threw everything for a loop.
Right.
And watching some favorite movies is kind of why we decided, and because it was Labor Day, is why we decided to wear our Guardians of the Galaxy t-shirts. Yay! It's one of my favorites.
Great.
And I had this all in mind as to how we were going to do this. And I actually have a segue. We hadn't thought really about what we were going to wear, but speaking of our favorite movie, or one of our favorites, Guardians of the Galaxy, autism and schedule changes is kind of like that scene in the first movie where, they've all been taken prisoner to the prison ship and they go into like I guess it's like the cafeteria, that common area.
Right.
And Rocket is sitting there just saying, well, I'm not going to be here long. This is what I need to break me out. And he's listing all those points. Right. And as he's listing it, he says, and such needs to be done last, because if that happens, blah, 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 blah. Groot just gets up and he goes in the back and he just grows up and yanks that thing out of the wall. That's autism.
I love Groot, though.
I know, so do I. That's kind of been what autism has done to me this weekend. And that's what can happen on these long weekends. So right. Let's get into some of the different things that can kind of help.
Right, exactly. So going back to one of the biggest ones is talking to your child about the schedule changes. Especially when you brought up with Rocket and he goes, well, you got to do all this first. Well, that's the same thing as listing out the tasks for the day, saying, hey, this is what's going to be implemented this weekend since we do have a long weekend. And you can write it, you can talk to him about it, but the best way is, Jess?
Well, I put it up on I put it on a whiteboard. Because, see my nice little whiteboard? That's what I actually started with this weekend. Yeah, no, that's not what happened. No. We didn't go in the nice little order.
No.
We started out with that checklist.
Okay.
And that was actually on Saturday. So, we were going to work outside, but it was still cool. And this is, I had my visual, and I thought, oh, we'll just take some pictures. We'll be able to help. And this might help us have a great weekend, because a lot of times on normal weekends, we weren't really good at, writing things out and planning them. So I was trying to implement something new, thinking it would be awesome. Right.
Right.
So we went from the nice list. Okay, let's get this done, to this. where I know that looks strange, but that's Curtis, and he was extremely depressed. And so we put that's Chewy on his back, his service dog. And what he's doing is providing some deep pressure therapy for Curtis right there by laying on his back. It's kind of like a, a furry, warm weighted blanket is what
There
it
you
is.
go.
So, and that kind of, because he was so depressed, he just kind of got really down and wasn't in a good mood. So we knew we were getting ready to go out and shoot a Nano Kids, which is Curtis and Nicole have a YouTube channel of their own called the Nano Kids.
Right.
It's about geocaching. And so we knew if he was not in a good mood, we were not.
We're not going to go anywhere. Right.
Nope. Nope.
Right.
I finally convinced him to get in the car to go, and we went and got some frozen yogurt. But then we had to run a couple of errands. We didn't think it would take long. But golly gosh darn it, if we didn't hit every single stoplight everywhere we went. It's just that way this weekend.
Yeah. So even having scheduled set, they can change really, but you have that visual. You have really good ideas, and that's hard too because you have good ideas, and then life is just going to be like, nope, life is going to happen.
Yeah.
But being able to have those visuals as needed, even going as writing them down and bringing it along with you, and you can change them out if you need to help your child. Like, hey, since this is happening, we kind of need to move this one and this one. Is that okay? To help them out with the visuals is that, because now you're still continuing to talk and you're being flexible with what's going on with life, and you're teaching your child how to be flexible and be like, it's frustrating, but we got this,
Yes. Yes. Exactly. That is for sure. And the whiteboard has been, or like laminating and using the whiteboard pens so I can like erase things and that has been a lifesaver. Nothing's in stone. Nothing is ever in stone.
Nothing.
Oh, we also thought we'd touch a little bit on, sometimes you can usually prepare for weddings. Sometimes you don't get as much time to prepare for funerals, but we had some ideas on those because that's kind of another kind of interruption to our schedule, I guess, to the normal schedule.
Right.
And it's not really an interruption, but it interrupts the routine. Is that the right way to put it?
It does. You're right. So it upsets the routine, the everyday routine that they have. Some good, some bad, but it's still a disruption. And you explained it right. That was really good. And so the biggest one is to prepare the ceremony or the service. When we say talking about service, we're talking about funeral services or wedding service with the therapy providers. I knew when I was a registered behavior technician, it was really exciting for the child to prepare for a wedding or, of course, the natural way of life. And those deaths that come with it. And I remember having the parents come to me and just like, can you have a conversation with my child so it's not just coming from me? Can you help him work through those emotions, those anxiety, that these outbursts that we're seeing because we're having a hard time processing this emotion, or I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm in the wedding, but I'm nervous, I don't know how, and just kind of practicing it. I remember with one of my clients, I used to went in and actually we did a practice run at the house, and we would practice throwing petals because she was a flower girl, and just have fun with those gross motor skills, and really prepare her for that. And then she did really well in the wedding. But just kind of talking and being open with the parents and the therapies will help you as much as they can.
Yeah. I know that we had, let's see, well, just before we started therapy, one of the things that is crucial is to have your family help with different parts, especially if you're involved in the ceremony, to have that person that is trusted by the child to help. I can give my example. My big example is, we've had a couple of ceremonies and a funeral that we've gone through since we found out about Curtis's autism. And the first was my sister's wedding. And that was just like, we knew Curtis was autistic. we just knew, and we were just waiting for that appointment to get the. I mean, I think we came home and found out within like 3 days that
Hmm.
that was the confirmation of what it was.
Right.
But in order to get him to participate, my sister calls up and she said, "Look, he's my nephew. He's my own. He's going to be there. I want him to be my ring bearer. But what can I do? How can we make this happen to where he's going to feel comfortable?"
That question is important. And your
Yes,
sister took the reins on that one. And
she did.
it's awesome when a family member reaches out to you. What can
Hmm.
I do to help? Because
Yeah,
it takes the pressure off of you.
yeah.
And
Well,
it
and
and right.
it was well, and the thing was, the good thing was that she and her husband kind of didn't go the formal route
Hmm.
of dress. They went more down. They played it down a little bit, and so Curtis could wear. She was like, "Do you think he'd wear some khakis?" And I'm like, "I
Right.
think I can find some soft khakis for him to wear." And she's, and asked about a button-down shirt and maybe a tie or a bow tie or something. Well, he turns out he loves wearing bow ties. He thinks he looks so cool in his bow tie. So it turned out really well. We found some clothing that would, he wasn't itchy or scratchy in. Um, and we also, it turned out that one of his favorite little toys
Hmm.
was green, which her colors, my sister loves sunflowers. So she had green and she had yellow. And so he hid the little Captain Teddy. It was just like a beanie baby. So it wasn't that big. Yes, he had a pirate hat on him, but it was small enough that you couldn't see that he had a pirate
Right.
hat as he's holding him, walking down the aisle with the pillow. And then I was actually, I was the matron of honor. And so and then Derek was taking pictures and stuff. So he was running around. So my mom actually sat in the front seat and she had Stitch with her. So
Oh.
Stitch is Curtis's thing. That's his thing. So as soon as he got down to the front of the aisle, he just went, sat right down beside her and then just grabbed onto Stitch and could hug Stitch.
Wow.
And that really helped. They had a shorter ceremony, which is great. And so
That's
he
great.
was able to be calm for the whole thing.
That's awesome.
And he lasted the whole ceremony, which was awesome.
That's
So,
awesome. You were able to practice too before all that, right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure we did practice a little bit. And the day before, he got to go up and down a couple of times and he knew
Hmm.
exactly where he was supposed to go. And so, yeah, it turned out really well. I do know that before my in laws had their 50th wedding anniversary, we had therapy at that point in time. So we practiced a lot.
Right.
And then I know the biggest thing, one of the things that we did have to go to my husband's grandmother's funeral. I think you were still with us when that happened, wasn't I? Weren't you?
I think I
Because
was.
maybe it was just before. I don't remember. Anyway, it was
Maybe.
a summer, and we knew that Mima was called her Mima. We knew she was sick, and so
Yeah, I was with you.
so we knew she was sick, and we kind of started talking about it. That things, she may be going to, because we're Christians of the Christian faith, and so we kept talking about our thing was she was going to be going to heaven to roller skate with Papa because that was something her and Papa did. And so, we kind of explained it. So we're softening the blow and kind of, prepping him for that.
Right.
And when we got there, she passed. We had the funeral. Um, the funeral is actually held in Arkansas.
Okay.
And I remember we drove up to the funeral home. And before we went inside, as I was finishing putting on my makeup, I let my husband go in because he was actually one of the pallbearers. And so I knew that he was going to have to do stuff. And so he had to sit in a certain place and all that kind of stuff. But I knew Nikki could either sit with her cousin Sarah or Sarah Malia, and then she could also, be with her. Curtis had Cherie, but I wanted to explain to him what was going to happen because it was an
Right.
open casket ceremony, and so I wanted to let them know exactly what was going to happen, what they were going to see, how things were going to progress, so that
Right.
they would know when to be quiet, if they wanted to be in the room at
Right.
certain times, that kind of stuff. So it is really, really important to explain, because by
Hmm.
explaining the whole thing, I think it really turned out a whole lot better than it could have been.
It could have been, and you prepped them too, because I
Mm-hmm.
remember that was one of the biggest things as a therapist. I said, "Hey, how do you want to explain
Yeah.
death to your child?" Because you would explain it a different way than I would explain it to a kid, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what's cool about therapists, because they need to know that with the family, so they can make sure that you guys are in one accordance and implementing what you want in your child's
Right.
life. And I think that
Yeah.
helped out a lot, because he's like, oh, she believes the same way as well and understands this as well. It's another
Mm-hmm.
person I can talk to about it,
Yeah.
and ask maybe questions that I wouldn't ask my mom, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes therapists are that other second help from
Yeah.
time to time with that. Because there are things that I don't tell my mom, but I'll tell somebody else and talk. It's natural.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that
so
happens with us too for a very long time in life.
you're right. Right.
Um, so what's one of the things I know I saw a post the other day on one of the groups that I'm in talking about
Right.
what to do if your child's nonverbal in a group, if you're at some sort of family activity, say a wedding, a funeral. You can sometimes be at this family gathering. I know that we talked with Latrice before about how to prepare family members for kind of how to prepare for being around your child and things that may happen
Right.
in one of our previous podcasts. But you had some other ideas about
I
how to.
did. I did, especially because a lot of times our kiddos are nonverbal,
Hmm.
or they're verbal, but they don't have enough to communicate and say, "Hey, I want to do it this way," or "I want to do it that way."
Right.
So some nonverbal game ideas that if they have an older sibling that they can include,
Hmm.
to help their child, their younger sibling, do is, like, play hide and go seek games, play tag, things that
Hmm.
don't involve high order thinking skills like a board game or video games.
Right.
Um, a lot of times are icebreaker games, so you can play icebreaker games with them. Hide and seek is
Hmm.
a real good one,
Oh yeah.
especially because you can show them and model how to interact with them. And a lot of times it only takes one game like that, because
Hmm.
the other kiddos will pick up on those social cues, and there's always one who is going to take them underneath their wing and show it. And
Right.
hide and seek is a perfect one, because everybody's hiding. And so
Hmm.
whenever that peer buddy is helping the child with autism look, it's
Hmm.
not as bad. It's very natural. And if they
Right.
go hiding together, it's very natural. So it doesn't single him out. Or
Hmm.
I love hide and go seek games,
Yeah.
or tag. Tag's another one that they can
Hmm.
play with.
Yeah.
So
And then after that first game, then usually as a parent you can step out,
correct,
and you can
correct,
kind of step out on the outskirts and still let them play.
correct.
And
Hmm.
if you're me and you're my kids, Curtis and Nick, you're like, go away, mom, go away. They're at that
Right.
age. Uh, and I think one of the last things that we have to do, as that I can think of, is that we always kind of got to be prepared for that unknown. Um,
Right.
oh goodness, I wish. And I can say from this weekend alone, I wasn't very prepared.
Right.
Um, one of the things I did remember is I did remember my go bag when we went to church. A go bag is something that you just have, like when we're going to church. Curtis always has his headphones, his noise canceling headphones in there with him. I make sure he has that,
Right.
and then like a a fidget that is quieter.
Hmm.
Um, but I also try to make sure that I have some sort of go bag with me, so that has some things that can help throughout whatever situation. I try to make sure I call it my fidget bag, I guess. You
Hmm.
can call it your go bag, whatever you need to call it, but have it there to where you can take it when you're heading out the door, so that you have something
Right.
with you.
Right. And that's the other things. You need things to get you past an emergency as well. So that's
Yes.
one of the things. But some items for emergencies, that iPad's amazing. Or having a backup battery for an iPad. Like you can
Oh
get the
my
ones
goodness.
with the solar chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Always pack for those. Pack double extra batteries.
Yes.
Having some of those other ones for items for emergencies, having some of those items that will get you by, is they're not their favorite item, but is their second favorite item. And that's where that
Right.
reinforcement schedule comes in. Knowing their reinforcers, which one do they like best, which one do they don't.
Right.
Those are big ones. Honestly, pencil and paper too is
Oh yeah.
amazing.
I
Conversation and
I don't know how many times I wish I had something other than like my little tiny notebook, and I keep forgetting to put like one of the kids' chunky pads. I found one at Target in the dollar bins as you went inside. It was like this big,
right.
just a normal note paper size, and it's just blank paper. And so just throw that in the bag with a bunch of pens and pencils, and you got it.
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
Yeah. The other thing I like to do is I actually like including Nikki in packing that bag, because they're not going to be happy if the bag only includes things for their sibling.
Right.
So Nikki will sometimes actually take initiative and pack the bag on her own.
That's awesome.
And she will put the fidgets in there for both the ones that she likes as well as the ones she knows that Curtis likes. And I also kind of sometimes when I'm ordering my fidgets from Amazon is where I usually get them. I like to, and we'll have some links down in the show notes. I like to order larger packs because then I can split them up. For a while, I was actually giving the fidgets as rewards at the end of the day if the kids had done X, Y, and Z. And you can get some of those packs that aren't that expensive. Plus, you can kind of split them up as for some for the go bag, some for one sibling, some for the other. And a lot of times there's like at least 2 of some of these items.
Right.
So you can split it up and everything is good. And the biggest thing, for Pete's sake, never forget your chargers.
Don't forget those
Don't
chargers.
forget the chargers.
Don't.
Oh, I did that this weekend, which was so bad.
Oh, no.
We went to my in-laws' house for lunch. We live in the same town, so we've been back and forth.
Okay.
So that's our family unit,
Right.
I forgot the charger, and thank goodness they use iPhones too.
Goodness.
Yep, our 2-hour lunch turned into 5 or 6 hours because we forgot that we needed to stay longer for the fact that his sister was in town, that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I learned very well this weekend that that schedule that you start out with, that I started out with, man, I should have just. I mean, it was more like take the different colored markers and just make a scribbled mess, because that's how my weekend went.
But I love it though. Right now, you're learning to laugh at it and just kind of roll with it, and that's another big thing that we didn't mention. But I just want to commend you for rolling with it and just kind of laughing about it and saying, "Hey, we're gonna fix this," because it's all about trial and error.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, I did have my moment. There
Of
were some
course.
tears. I will admit there were some tears. I honestly wish the air conditioner would have booked its appointment to fail with me, so I would have known.
Right.
But it didn't.
But it didn't.
No. Things like that happen. And so
Right.
schedules get changed. You don't get to go exactly when you want to. I was actually really proud of the kids. We went out and shot the episode. Okay, we didn't shoot anybody. We shot with a camera.
Filmed.
There you go. Thank you. We filmed their episode of the Nano Kids, and probably they've been doing this monthly or bi-monthly for the last year now. So they've gotten used to doing this, and so they know how to close it. We have our little signature saying for how to close this geocaching thing with them, and so they were able to they moved.
That's
they
awesome.
moved with it. So
That's awesome.
we were there and back and made it just in time for the Instacart delivery. Like minutes to spare.
Hey, that's the
awesome.
best. I love it when that doorbell rings. You're like, what did I get?
Yes. And the kids didn't know that I had ordered, so they're like, ooh, goldfish. Ooh, this.
I
Because
love
this,
it.
I mean, I know it's really tough to go shopping, but it's tough to go shopping with an autistic child, but it's tough to go shopping with an autistic child who has massive anxiety during this time.
Right.
So, wow. You do what you got to do.
That's right.
Um, so this week, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be talking on Friday. What are you gonna be talking more about?
I'm going to be talking about questions that you should ask your therapist from a therapist point of view and how to handle schedule changes and just being able to keep that communication line open.
Okay, so be ready to watch that on Friday. On Wednesday, I'm going to show you the bag that I should have ready and the things that I should have in it. So
Extra
we
charger,
can,
satellite charger. You need the
yes,
satellite charger, Jess.
I know, something like that. So
Something.
I can put that, we can put that bag together. Um, and you guys can see where I put it. I mean, I have a nice rack by the door. So I will show you what I do for mine, my bag, for the fidget toys. And so make sure that you tune in for both of those. Keep checking on our Instagram. I was able to put some stuff up on Instagram. That picture I did have of Curtis and Chewy, we threw that up this weekend.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if you were able to check that out on Instagram this weekend. We'd love to hear about that.
Yes.
And if you ever have any questions for us to answer, please make sure and email them to us at info@myspectrumlife.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we are more than happy to try to answer your questions and possibly work them into one of our podcasts.
Exactly. And then you can find us at Facebook and Instagram at My Spectrum Life and at Twitter at My Spectrum Life with the number 1.
So we hope that you will be able to. We hope you liked these tips that we had for you. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment below on what your favorite tip was tonight from this podcast. And we hope that you'll be able to watch the videos on Wednesday and on Friday. And we've got some plans for some new things coming up. So make sure you click that bell so that you can see anytime some new videos or interesting things come out from us. And always remember, with a lot of faith, love, and fidget toys, we're going to make it. Bye.
Bye.